So with the NBA season coming to an end and the NBA draft airing on yesterday, I have come to make a video about 10 of the greatest players at each and every single position. As y'all can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about 10 of the greatest point guards of all time. But before I get started with this video, make sure I like and subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notifications, make sure y'all follow me on social media, my links are down below in the description box. And let's get started with this video. And coming in at number 10, we got John Stockton. Now look, John Stockton, he might be a real controversial player on this list because I've been hearing a lot of people say John Stockton should be higher than the top 5, and I kind of find that absurd. But John Stockton, though, still an all-time great player, all-time leader in assists and steals, so I got to put some respect on that, and was one of the best defenders at his position, making a couple all-defensive teams. But the main reason I got him at number 10 is simple. Other players above them accomplished more and were just flat out better players than John Stockton. And John Stockton only has one first place vote in the MVP race. And another thing that people don't talk about is that the Utah Jazz had more first round exits than conference finals appearances. Like, for real. Go look it up. And sure, him and Malone went to back-to-back finals, but number one, they lost, so I'm not giving them no participation award. And another thing that people don't talk about is that John Stockton in one of those series averaged just under 10 points a game. So yeah, you're definitely going to get points knocked out for that. And another thing that people don't talk about is that the Utah Jazz, when they made back-to-back finals, is that some of the teams that they were facing, let's be real, they were either young or old. I can give you an example. The Houston Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler. They're on their last legs. I could go to the Seattle Supersonics with Gary Payton. Sure, he was still a great player, but Shawn Kemp, it was on a decline. And Los Angeles Lakers with a second-year Kobe Bryant, who airballed 4 straight threes. And then you also had Shaq. Sure, he was in his prime, but the Utah Jazz were able to take advantage. And I know a lot of people going to say, what about John Stockton and Karl Malone? Weren't they in their 30s? But let's be real. John Stockton and Karl Malone have some of the best durabilities in the NBA. So that's the reason why their longevity is undeniable. But I'm not just here to shit on Stockton. Still an all-time great player. But number 10 is the highest I could get him. And coming in at number 9, we got Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd on this list is by far the worst offensive player on here. Because Jason Kidd had obvious holes to his game, especially with his jump shot, because they called him Ace and Kidd for a reason. But Jason Kidd, though, still an all-time great player, one of the greatest passers, one of the best defenders at his position, and he led the Nets to back-to-back finals. But let's be real, the Eastern Conference was at his weak point, so that's the main reason. And it was exposed as they got dominated by the Lakers, got swept by them, and then Tim Duncan had arguably his greatest series against the Nets. So yeah, I gotta hold that accountable. And another thing that people don't talk about is that Jason Kidd's impact wasn't just on the New Jersey Nets. It was also on the Phoenix Suns, as he helped them with 50-win seasons, and some of his impact even rubbed off on Dallas, as he was able to help them win a championship in 2011. Sure, he wasn't the same player that he was, but he was still contributing at a high level. But the main reason I don't got him high on the list is simple. His offensive style was obviously not that great, and there are other players just flat out better than him and accomplished more than Jason Kidd. So that's the reason I got him at number 9 on my list. But moving on to number 8, we got the 2-time MVP himself, Steve Nash. Now look, Steve Nash, I know what a lot of people going to say. Hey, is that the guy that stole Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal's MVPs? But live on with it. Shaq, I'm talking to you. He has 2 MVPs. You have to deal with it. But Steve Nash, though, you can't tell me that this guy didn't revolutionize the game, especially in his time with the Phoenix Suns in those mid-2000s, as they had 7 seconds or less. He's a 2-time MVP, one of the best passers of all time. But the main reason I don't got him higher on the list is simple. His defense, I know we're going to get to Steph Curry later on in this video, but Steve Nash's defense was just as bad, because at least Steph Curry's giving you off-ball defense. Steve Nash didn't give you none of that, as he was getting blown by every single play. That's the reason why guys like Tony Parker be going off on him. And then another thing that I just cannot skim over the fact that Steve Nash doesn't even have one finals appearance to his resume. And don't give me no help argument neither, because he had all-time great teammates. He had Amari Stoudemire, he had Sean Marion, he had Quentin Richardson, Joe Johnson, Leandro Barbosa, Boris Diaw, and you also had Mike D'Antoni, who favored his skills. And let's be real, if it wasn't for Mike D'Antoni in the Phoenix Suns system, Steve Nash probably wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. Hell, I can even go his time with the Dallas Mavericks where he teamed up with Dirk Nowitzki and Michael Finley, and he still was able not to get to the finals. And I just can't skim over the fact that he had all-time great teammates, and he doesn't even have one finals appearance to his resume. Yeah, that is not acceptable whatsoever. But Steve Nash, though, still an all-time great player, but number 8 is the highest I could put him. And coming in at number 7, we got the triple-double king himself, Russell Westbrook. Now look, Russell Westbrook is a real controversial player on this list because a lot of people say Russ should be higher on the list, and some people say he shouldn't be on the list whatsoever. But I think he should be on the list, and number 7 is the perfect spot I could put him. But let's go through Russell Westbrook's career. Averaged a triple-double for 3 straight years, 4 in total. Is an MVP, had one of the greatest MVP seasons of all time, and had a 40-point game in the NBA Finals alongside with Kevin Durant as they went to the finals at a young age of 23 years old. But the main reason I don't got Russell Westbrook higher on the list is simple. His play style wasn't enough to contribute to a championship. And another thing, how many times have we seen Russell Westbrook had playoff mishaps? Like, I could go year by year by year, but I'm finna be talking about a couple of them. You had 2016 where him and KD blew a 3-1 lead. That's not nothing I can't overlook. And then I could go to 2018 where he got outplayed by rookie Donovan Mitchell and some games Ricky Rubio. I can't overlook that neither. Now I could go to 2019 where he got heavily outplayed by Damian Lillard. He lost in an embarrassing 5-game series as Dame sent them to Houston. That's nothing I can't overlook neither. So Russell Westbrook had a lot of playoff mishaps, and I can't just skim over the fact. But Russell Westbrook, though, still a great player, one of the top 50 players of all time. And if you don't think he's top 75, you don't know basketball. But coming in at number 6, we got the point guard himself, Chris Paul, CP3 himself. And we all know what Chris Paul's resume is. All-NBA performer, one of the greatest defenders at his position. And every team that he goes to, the team gets significantly better. Like, let's look at the Clippers, for example. The Clippers were in no man's land. Like, they haven't made the playoffs since the Elton Brand days. And Chris Paul, when he got there, he turned them into legit championship favorites. Sure, they didn't get to the conference finals or nothing, but they were still an elite team. And if it wasn't for a guy like Chris Paul coming there, there's guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George that probably wouldn't have came. But the main reason I don't got Chris Paul higher on the list is simple. Other players just accomplished more than him. And another thing that people don't talk about is that Chris Paul is an injury-prone player, and Chris Paul definitely has a lot of playoff flameouts, especially this year against the Dallas Mavericks, where he was just straight up awful. But Chris Paul, though, still an all-time great player. But 6 is the highest I could put him on this list. They coming in at number 5. We got the Big O himself, the original triple-double king, Oscar Robertson. And now look, Oscar Robertson is obviously not a guy I watched back in the days, because obviously he wasn't born back then. But Oscar Robertson was that dude, because he came into his rookie year and averaged 30 points a game. Came into his rookie year and averaged 30 a game. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't care which era it is. You can put in all the numbers that he was putting up. Had broke the back then the most triple doubles in a single season, which is now broken by Russell Westbrook. But Oscar Robertson, he's the original triple double king, so I gotta put some respect on that. But the main reason I don't got him higher on the list is that other players just accomplished more and better competition, as Oscar Robertson played in the 60s and the 70s. And sure, he was the number 2 option to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as they won a championship in 71 with the Bucks. And the numbers that Oscar Robertson was putting up, let's be real, they weren't translating to the amount of wins. So we got to take that in consideration. But Oscar Robertson, though, still an all-time great player. But 5 is the best position I could put him at. But coming in at number 4, we got the logo himself, Jerry West. Yep, Jerry West is another player that I obviously didn't watch back in the days. But the numbers I pulled up, Jerry West, he was putting up a lot of monster scoring season, and he proved that point guards could be the best player on the championship team. And I remember one time that Jerry West won a Finals MVP on a losing team. Shouldn't he have won it? That's a topic for another video. But Jerry West, though, he was putting up incredible numbers. I remember he was pulling up from the three-point line, and there was even no three-point line back then. But the main reason I don't got him higher on the list is simple. His era was weak. He played in the 60s and 70s, and he has a lot of finals losses, hence his record being 1-9. So, yeah, I got to take that in consideration. He also teamed up with Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor, and with those three together, they were still unable to get a championship. Yeah, I can't excuse that. But Jerry West, though, still an all-time great player, but number 4 is the highest I could put him. And coming down at number 3, we got Zeke himself, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is easily, and I mean easily, one of the most underrated players of all time. Like, people don't talk about how great he was. And he's the only player to say that he beat Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird in his career. And you couple in with the 2 championships that he won, and he proved that small guards could win a championship. I'm not talking about Magic Johnson like that or nothing, but sure you had Magic, but I'm not talking about anomalies like Magic. Because Isaiah Thomas, I'm talking about small guards that could lead their team to a championship and be the best player on that team. That's exactly what he was, as he won a Finals MVP in 1990 as they went back-to-back with the Pistons. So I got to put some respect on that. But coming in at number 2, we got Steph Curry. Chef Curry himself. Steph Curry, we all know what his resume is. 4-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP. One of those seasons being unanimous. He just won the Finals MVP this year. And Steph Curry should easily be the second greatest point guard of all time. And not just the second greatest point guard of all time, but in my opinion, a top 10 player of all time. But coming in at number 1, was there any doubt? It is Earvin Magic Johnson. Like, come on, man. Come on. 5-time NBA champion. 3-time Finals MVP. 3-time regular season MVP. Like, come on, man. Obviously the best player on those Showtime Lakers. Had a bag of tricks. Sure, he didn't have no scoring bag, but he had a bag of tricks. That's the reason why he has one of the greatest peaks of all time. And that's the reason why he came into his rookie year and won the Finals MVP, had arguably the greatest game of all time. And this should be unanimous. So Magic Johnson is number 1 on my list. And that shouldn't be a debate. But that concludes this video. What y'all think? What y'all think about this video? Make sure y'all subscribe to my second channel as well. This your boy Lil Trey D signing out. Stay safe. Peace.